Hello everyone, John Wayne Cheeseburger is speaking. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Ushanka Show, stories about life in the Soviet Union. I was sad to learn that a couple of days ago on September 28, 2024, Kris Kristofferson, US country singer and actor, died at the age of 88. To be honest, I had no idea that Kris Kristofferson was actually a country singer. I knew him only as an actor, and I knew him as a rubber duck from the movie Convoy. I was among the millions of Soviet citizens, 35.9 million to be exact, who went to watch the movie Convoy in a Soviet movie theater back in 1985. By the way, if you're interested in the topic of the Soviet movie theaters, Советские кинотеатры, I already have a video on this topic, and as always, a link will be below in the comment section. Also in the comment section, I'll post another link, and that's to the video about the day after another American movie that was shown on the Soviet television back in the early 80s. Okay, so the movie Convoy was filmed in 1978, and it's an American road action comedy film, according to Wikipedia, and it was starring Kris Kristofferson as the rubber duck and Ellie McGraw. The movie budget was about $12 million, and it didn't do really well in the United States and Canada. Its box office was only about $22 million, and the total box office, including worldwide distribution, was around $45 million. And I only can speculate why the Soviet government decided to purchase this movie. Maybe because it was a steep discount, or maybe because they liked the general message of the movie when hardworking American proletariat, long-distance truckers, are fighting against the system. But in any rate, we had a chance to see this movie only in 1985, so that's pretty much 7 years later. The movie was slightly modified. They cut out some episodes, mostly where was some naked bodies, and it was professionally dubbed with the voices of the Soviet actors. By the way, I forgot to mention that the movies were purchased by the Soviet government at the fixed price, so flat fee, doesn't matter how many people gonna watch in the Soviet Union. So the creators of the Convoy movie didn't benefit from the giant success of the Convoy in the USSR. I had to do some math because in Soviet Union we talk how popular movie was based on how many people went to see it. In America, they judge the movie by how much money movie managed to collect. So in the Soviet Union, 35.9 million people went to see the Convoy. While many of them, including myself, went to see several times, I watched that movie twice. There were only 2 movies in my entire movie-going experience that I went twice to see. One of them was The Convoy, and another one was Romancing with the Stone with Michael Douglas. Anyway, so I ran some numbers, and $22 million at $2.83 per ticket, that's the prices around 1978. That means about 7.8 million of people went to see Convoy in Northern America versus 35.9 million in the Soviet Union. And of course, population of Soviet Union is quite a bit less than population of United States and Canada combined. And if Soviet movie tickets were the same price as an American movie tickets back in 1978, that means that the Soviet box office for Convoy would be $84 million versus American $22 million. So back in 1985, I was 14, and watching the Convoy movie was just amazing experience. It was like watching a life on a different planet. First of all, of course, there were trucks, the semi-trucks and the cab-overs and the regular trucks. We had nothing like that. So all those exhaust pipes going straight up in the air, the power, the different trailers, everything was just so amazing. So I think I fell in love with American semi-trucks back in 1985. And of course, I would never guess that 10 years later, in 1995, I would have opportunity to explore American semi-truck and actually go for a day-long trip. I traveled with a friend of mine from Michigan down to Indiana on the Kenworth semi-truck. If you read my book, American Diaries 1995, you probably recognize that story. And of course, CB radios was a total shock. We had nothing like that. I mean, our cops, militia had radios in their cars, but truckers didn't. So all that conversation on CB radio was just amazing to watch. That was really cool. And of course, Ellie McGraw character, I believe she was a journalist driving a fancy sports car. I believe it was a Jaguar. So that's another experience. Like, we really didn't have women driving cars, and we didn't have sports cars, period. So that part of the movie was also amazing. And I believe that movie made Kristofferson the most recognizable American actor in the Soviet Union. His nickname, Резиновый утенок, the rubber duck, was known to everyone. When I was putting together information for this story, I grew curious if Kris Kristofferson in his sexy wife-beater shirt made any impression, broke any hearts of the Soviet women. But apparently it really didn't happen, because everyone remembers that the movie theaters were packed with mostly teenager boys and men. Not many women came to see this movie. And of course, Резиновый утенок, once again, the rubber duck ornament on the hood of the Kris's truck. That thing is still well known and popular. You could see, like on this picture, there's a Soviet UAZ SUV with the rubber duck installed on the hood. Another interesting side effect of the Convoy movie was that quite a few long-distance truckers in the Soviet Union tried to modify their MAZ trucks and put exhaust pipes straight up in the air like American trucks, but I don't think our traffic police was happy about it. It's scary to think that this movie is almost 50 years old. I'm getting old myself. So at any rate, it made me very sad when I learned that Kris Kristofferson passed away. As I said, he was a big deal in the Soviet Union. Thank you, Comrade Rubber Duck, for making our life in the USSR a little bit more fun. We really enjoyed this movie, and rest in peace, Kris. Okay, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Ushanka Show, and I'm extremely curious if you had a chance to watch the Convoy movie back then, especially if you used to live in the Soviet bloc countries. I wonder what kind of impact this movie had on you and your friends. So please post your comments, don't forget your likes, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания, goodbye.